Hello everyone and welcome to this very timely video, hopefully. I think if I've spaced this out correctly, this should be going up just before we get the April 2nd Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, which I am very excited for, obviously. I thought, you know what, given it's coming to an end, I should talk about Nintendo Switch's first-party experience. Now, obviously I haven't played all these games. I'm not that rich or don't have that much time on my hands. But anyway, I've played a good chunk of them, and those that I haven't, I still have seen a good chunk of them, just because I'm kind of in this sphere of video games. So I'm going to give my opinions on them. The idea is it's kind of just a regular tier list. If I know nothing about them, like for example, Another Code, I'll put them in Didn't Play. Or Go Vacation, like I've never even heard of that. What is that? I'm kind of curious now. And then only one of the particular series' games I'm going to put in S tier. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm hoping for each series on Switch 2. So that's the plan. And we're starting with obviously the best series, Fashion Dreamer, totally S tier. I actually don't know anything about it, honestly, other than it was in a Nintendo Direct, and there was like a meme for like, I don't know, 2 months or something that I should play this game, but I didn't want to spend the money on it. So, sorry. Animal Crossing! Okay. Animal Crossing New Horizons. So, I have a very unique perspective on this, I think. Because this is my first Animal Crossing game. Like, I'd seen New Leaf. I knew what New Leaf generally looked like. But I'd never actually played New Leaf. So, this was a brand new sort of experience for me. And honestly, it was a little underwhelming, personally. I think the idea of, like, collecting villagers that appeal to you is fun. But in all other ways, it is vastly outstripped, in my opinion, by something like Stardew Valley. Which I know it's a different kind of game. Kind of. I do like the collection for the museum aspect of Animal Crossing way better than Stardew Valley's, because you have some agency over it, you know? So like the fishing and bug catching logs were probably my favorite part of the game, but as soon as I finished them, there was like nothing else that interested me. And I know people are like, oh, they should bring diving back and all this stuff, but I don't think... Also, I think diving did end up getting put back in eventually, right? I do believe I logged back onto the game for a little bit to try it out, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is fine. I could be wrong, though. Overall, it's just kind of okay in most ways. I think without the island building aspect, which was something new to this game, I would be even more bored. I'm not sure what people do in Animal Crossing to like play it for years on end. And maybe that's just because this game doesn't have stuff from New Leaf, because I hear people say that all the time, like, oh, it's missing blank from New Leaf. But the seasonal events didn't really appeal to me that much. And yeah, it was fun for like the first 2 months or so it was out and everybody was playing it. But as soon as everybody else kind of dropped off the game, my interest in it also waned dramatically. So I think that's like a solid B, which will show you how generous I kind of am being in this list. I don't think it's actively bad. Like, B is like mid, which I feel like this game is pretty middle of the road. There's some good, there's some bad. It's kind of boring. It's mid. Endless Ocean. Now, I actually do know about Endless Ocean, but I've not seen anything about this game. Like, the one on Wii, I remember I had friends who had that game. But, yeah, I don't think I can really make an assessment on that. Advance Wars 1+2. You know, I should really play Advance Wars someday, considering I play Fire Emblem so much. But the thing is, this has the one thing that makes me play... Or this doesn't have, rather, the one thing that makes me play Fire Emblem, which is, like, units that actually matter. You know what I mean? Like, you have, like, tanks and infantry in this game, but they're just, like, generic. And there are characters, but they're only the generals. So I'm not even sure if there really is a story. I think there is. But I don't know. Just like Fire Emblem purely for gameplay doesn't interest me that much. It's a lot about the characters and like building their stats and whatever, and not evolving them, but kind of classing up. Is that what it's called? Giving them a master seal. I've never like tried to use it in a sentence like that. Anyway, I feel like this game is just the original two games, but with a slight visual overhaul. So I'll put it in B tier. I don't think there was anything bad about it, other than it came out at probably the worst time possible. Or it was going to come out, you know. Sushi Striker! I didn't even know this still existed. I remember this from the DS era. I had no idea they made another one. Maybe this is just a collection. I can't read what the subtitle is, so. 51 worldwide games. Kind of a crazy first-party title for Nintendo to have. But, I mean, it makes sense. They want to have some casual stuff. Oh, yeah, I should say, there's lots of, like, you know, more notable stuff. But I thought we'd get through some of the less exciting stuff first. I mean, this was fun for a very brief time. Kind of like Animal Crossing, but also a little bit less of a game. You know what I mean? Like it's literally like tabletop games, right? So there's some fun stuff to be had there for sure, but it's less of an actual game. And Labo is like the exact same thing. I know people have a soft spot for Labo because I'm sure building the thing is actually fun, but is that really like controversial? It's probably the least interesting thing for. I mean, I'm sure children would love it, but children would also destroy it. So I'm not really sure who it's for. Is the thing. I don't know. Plus, it can't even be backwards compatible because it fits the Switch's screen specifically, and the Switch 2 is going to have a bigger one. What the heck? Nintendo Switch Sports. I do think they sucked some of the soul out of it when the Mii's got taken out. But as far as I know, it's like a competent sports title. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just like not exciting at all. So probably B. ARMS. You know, for as much as I've heard about ARMS, I don't actually know that much about what ARMS plays like. I mean, I do know, like, you use the Joy-Cons and you punch, but I have no idea how viscerally fun that is or not fun that is. If it seems like it would be pretty monotonous, which is something I really can't do in games anymore. Monotonous grinding, for example. It's just, I can't. So I know that ARMS wouldn't have grinding necessarily, but it doesn't feel like there's that much room for unique, like, skill expression. You know what I mean? It feels like there's probably one good strategy in this game, and you just do it, from what I've seen of it. But I'll be generous and put it in didn't play. I didn't play the brain training games either, or Big Brain Academy. I heard they were like kind of a step back from the last titles, which is kind of weird. Like, how do you mess up Big Brain Academy? But apparently, so Snipper Clips. Do you remember Snipper Clips? It was everywhere when the Switch came out because it was like one of the only games on it, right? I hope they make a Snipper Clips 2 for Nintendo Switch 2. That would be pretty funny. Actually, did I see something about that? I feel like maybe I did. This is definitely a B tier game, though. Actually, maybe it could be A. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. It's like just a fun little puzzle game, you know? And I don't think it overstays its welcome either. Like, Animal Crossing, you're supposed to play forever. And this is like 2 whole games. And this you're also supposed to play forever, especially because they released the DLC, free DLC months out. They wanted you to keep playing it. Snipper Clips is like, yeah, we're a launch title game. You can play us while there's nothing else to play, and you'll be done, and then there'll be better new games after. So, can't really blame it for that. Oh, Miitopia. This one's hard, all right? because Miitopia is a very fun game, but it's not a very good game, in my opinion. If you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know that I've done a lot of streams of this game. And I also had it on my 3DS and played it myself back when it first came out, because I was a big fan of Tomodachi Life. This is such a disappointment as a sequel, and it really sucks. Because what they added in this Switch version with like the customization for the little Miis is crazy. It'd be so good to have that in a Tomodachi Life game instead. But because you basically don't play this game, like you just kind of react most of the time. Yes, you can control your character, but that's like controlling one character out of 4 party members, and also the game is controlling enemies. So it's really mostly just random number generation, and also you're there. So that is kind of what Tomodachi Life was like, but it was much more interesting because you had like the possibility to put 100 different Miis and they could all interact with each other. Whereas this one, you get like 12? No, because it's only groups of 3. So you get like 10. Plus some side characters. So it's, yeah, it kind of hurts. I'd probably put in C. I'm really hoping on Switch 2 we can get a Tomodachi Life 2 with this customization system, because that game would be crazy. It would go crazy anyway. Hey, do you remember Miitomo, the Nintendo like social media application that was based on Miitopia or Tomodachi Life? Kind of crazy, right? Hopefully, they're not abandoning this concept, is what I'm saying. They've done 4 entries now. Come on, give us a Tomodachi Life 2. Snack World. What the hell does that say? The Ding Ton Crawl Guild? I don't know. I've never heard of this. Like, at least I've heard of Sushi Strikers. This seems like it would be the same genre of game. Like a Nintendo DS, sort of like DSware. I don't remember what it was called. DSiWare, I think. Game, but now on the Switch, and I just never heard of this one, so oops. Game Builder Garage. What a letdown. I know some people had fun with this, but I was really hoping it would be just as like interesting as Super Mario Maker 2, but you could do other things than Mario. And really, it ended up being like a way less interesting version of like Dreams from PlayStation, which was kind of like a game builder, but way better at making actual playable experiences. Also, why wasn't there like a level browser like there was for Super Mario Maker? Like, you want people to be able to play each other's games, right? Why do you have to send them by code? I'm pretty sure that's a thing anyway. Again, it's been a long time since anybody's talked about Game Builder Garage, but I'm almost certain that was one of the biggest complaints. I'm pretty sure I'm not misremembering that. Astral Chain. Okay, I really don't know anything about this game. I know some people are big fans of it. That's about all I know. It's like police persona. So, Nintendo All-Star Championship NES Edition. Kind of a funny idea for a game, for sure. Also, the 99 games aren't here. I guess they weren't Nintendo published. How is the one based on F-Zero not Nintendo published? I don't know. Anyway, this is cool, but it's like a C. It's just like parts of old games, and you try to speedrun them, which is a cool idea. And I think they could expand it, and it could be really cool. But in the same year, we got something like UFO 50. It really feels like this could have gone farther. You know what I mean? Okay, the Famicom Detective Club games are both going and didn't play. However, that's for a specific reason, because I kind of really want to play them on the channel. It seems like they're way deeper than you'd think they'd be for something called Famicom Detective Club. I'm just concerned nobody would watch them. Because they are like not really Ace Attorney, but I guess the Ace Attorney or the Great Ace Attorney's first two cases where it's all about investigation, right? It kind of feels like that. I don't know. It feels like it'd be fun. And I want to play them. So, you know. The problem is... I was going to wait to bring this up later, but I have to bring it up now. My Elgato, which is my little hardware that lets me record Switch games on my computer, is broken. So I can't actually record from the Switch right now at all. And it feels kind of weird because, like, oh, I should get the new one. But I kind of feel like I should just wait till Switch 2 comes out. And then I can get them both and just, like, set them up together and it'll be easy. So, yeah, I actually can't play these right now, even though I want to for the channel. So, 1-2 Switch. What are these games? Why was there a sequel, first off? And, like, what are these? I think the concept isn't terrible, but it really feels like they just wanted to make a WarioWare game, but not with Wario. And it just doesn't, like, have the heart or the soul. So, I'm unfortunately going to have to put this in C tier, because at least it was a novel idea, and this one in D tier, because who was asking? Who asked? Okay. Now we're into the main series stuff, like the big ones. I guess fitness boxing we could maybe get out of the way. I've never played any of the fitness boxing games. I didn't know there were 3 of them. That's kind of crazy. I heard about Fitness Boxing 2. I did not hear about Fitness Boxing 3. And Ring Fit seems like it's cool. So I'll put it in B tier. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So, whatever. Alright, there's a lot of Mario. And if you don't know me very well, I have to break your heart a little bit and say I've never been a fan of Mario. Like, almost anything Mario. And it's partly because when I was younger, I was like a giant like hipster about video games, and I didn't want to play like, Mario's too popular. But it was also because I played Super Mario 64, and the controls and camera literally killed me. And my first platformer experience was Sonic 1 on Game Boy Advance, which is got terrible physics. And now at this point in my life, I just don't have the skills to be good at platforming games. I just don't. I feel like. So a lot of this Mario stuff, I just don't have that much connection to the characters. So I'm like, I don't really want to play Mario Tennis, you know? The exceptions to this rule, you will see. But let me just go through and do all the ones that I did not play. So I have played Mario Kart 8. I've never played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I've never owned Mario Kart 8 either in any form. It's just obviously it's like the most purchased Nintendo Switch game of all time. So obviously I have friends who have the game. So I've played it like in person. But it seems like it's a top tier Mario Kart. I played Double Dash, so I know what Mario Kart is at least. And I also played Wii as well, but I never owned Wii either. I don't know, Mario Kart, they're really going to have to impress me with the new Mario Kart, okay? That's all I'm saying. I think it's probably an A tier. I mean, technically Mario Kart, I'd probably count as a separate series from main Mario, like Mario Platformers, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Sports as like their own sub-series, and then the Mario RPGs. I don't even know what I'd count this as. Or this. I guess these are all their own series. Anyway, it can probably go in S tier. I think it's probably the definitive Mario Kart title at the moment, so can't really complain with that. Mario Odyssey. This is my favorite Mario 3D platformer because it was the only one that could keep my attention. Whoops. I think it's a solid, like, A for sure. I'm really kind of sad they didn't make an Odyssey 2 with just, or even just DLC with more kingdoms, because I would have really enjoyed that. So yeah, it's really all I have to say. Super Mario RPG. I've still never played this game. I feel like I'm out of the loop. Because everybody loves this game. Actually, okay, that's not entirely true. I have played a portion of this game. But I stopped during the forest section. Where I think you get Geno in your party, I would assume. Because he just got, like, birthed by star magic. And that was on a totally legit console when I was like 14. And because I just played Paper Mario for the first time, and I was like, okay, Super Mario RPG is like the original, so I should play that next. And it was not the same, so I didn't like it. So I'll put it in didn't play it. Mario Wonder! Alright. I complained about 3D Mario, but 2D Mario? I do find myself liking the modern 2D Marios a lot. I'll just spoil it and say I think Super Mario Maker 2 is like an amazing game, and I'm really sad that they like cut off its support. Not so quickly necessarily. Like they did give it some support for sure. But I really hope that Super Mario Maker 3 is one of the early games for Switch 3, because I honestly miss it a lot. When everybody was playing Mario Maker, it's so fun. And yeah, it made me reevaluate that maybe the early 2D Marios are actually good, even though as a kid I thought they were stinky and bad. And Mario Wonder, I mean, that was just kind of the nail in the coffin for like, okay, maybe 2D Mario is my jam, which is really unsurprising. We're going to talk about Metroid later. Very same situation going on over there. I think Mario Wonder, I have to give it its props. I would put Mario Maker 2 up there, but I have to give it its props for being like breaking Mario out of its weird corporate new Super Mario Bros. Phase. Thank goodness. Although I guess kind of it's the movie, but this is ground zero, so it's still fair. I don't really think I should go between tiers, but it feels weird to have snipper clips above Mario Maker, so I'll just put snipper clips down here. Okay, 3D Mario All-Stars. You can bet I've never played this. I have played Sunshine and Mario 64 at certain points, though, and I didn't like either of them, so... I know it's like sacrilege to say Mario 64 is a bad game from modern standards, because so many people grew up with it. It's the same way that, like, Ocarina of Time is, like, a not that great game probably to play for the first time right now. But I played it when I was younger, so going back to it feels like, I'm going home! It's a very similar idea. So I don't blame people for liking Mario 64, by the way. And also, it was a huge landmark game, for sure. But not for me. It's just, I'm never going to like it. Sorry. Super Mario Party. I mean, it kind of got way shown up by Jamboree. It's definitely the B tier. It's fine. It's way better than the Mario Parties that came before it. These are also games I don't own, but I've played. And Mario Party Jamboree, I mean, I got to give it some props for being actually good. So, the definitive Switch Mario Party, probably. What is this one? Oh, Mario Party Superstars. Oh, no. Which one is which? I think Jamboree is the newest one, right? And this was the one with all the classic boards, which was good, but, like, Jamboree is better. So maybe we'll do this. That feels right. Like an arc of Mario Party games. Oh, I guess I should put the top of the series in S tier. Let's just do top of the series, just so nobody gets confused. We'll put Jamboree up there. And then maybe I can do that. There we go. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Somehow I avoided ever playing this game. So... Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. So I have played all the way through Super Mario 3D World with friends. Never played Bowser's Fury, though, so I don't feel like I can accurately judge this game at all. Mario Tennis Aces and Golf Super Rush, I've not played either of these. I know people's opinion are that they're kind of bland and suck. And also I never played Battle League either. Mario Sports has never interested me at all. I'm happy for people that like them, and also sad that they're apparently not good anymore. This kind of sucks. Okay, now we're getting into... Well, okay, let's get these out of the way. I haven't played any of these. Now we're getting into the Mario RPGs, so now I could actually talk about games that I have played. Origami King. Such a weird game to talk about. Because I feel like if this wasn't Paper Mario, and it was just like, this is a little Paper Mario experience, or just like a Mario experience. It was like Mario RPG or whatever. I'd have less hang-ups about it. But, you know, we got the Thousand Year Door remake. It's hard to complain about Paper Mario with the current position we're in, unless, obviously, they make another Paper Mario game and it is not an RPG again. Like, come on. I'm putting it in A tier. Obviously, Thousand Year Door, I have to put it top of the Mario RPG series, because I actually never played Brothership either. For some reason, the Mario and Luigi series hasn't been able to catch my attention like the Paper Mario series either. I don't know what it is about the Paper Mario series specifically that I'm so into, but there's something. It's not the aesthetic either, I'll tell you that much. I don't really care about the new Papercraft aesthetic. If anything, I think it makes Thousand Year Door look worse. I know a lot of people like it, but, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I don't like the other Mario RPGs at all. Anyway, I've never heard this rendition of this song. I just put on a playlist of Nintendo music, so hopefully this isn't copyrighted. Like it's somebody's remix or something. It'd be really annoying. Hold on. Okay, I just skipped it, just in case that song was copyrighted. Anyway, back to Thousand Year Door talk. I haven't actually played through the remake all the way. I played it a little bit, because I was going to play it on the channel, and then it didn't win the vote, so I was like, okay, well, whatever, I'll just play it myself. I should probably just finish it myself at this point. It's not perfect. Like, it's not a perfect rendition of Thousand Year Door, in my opinion. I think a lot of the quote-unquote upgrades are either side grades or downgrades. A lot of the OST, I love the fact that they did situational battle themes for wherever you are in the world. That's really cool. But a lot of the other like additions they put to like every song on the OST, it just throws me way off. Specifically, one of my favorite tracks is Riverside Station in the original Paper Mario. And their rendition of it has like a real violin. And it's like, okay, that's cool. This should sound great, right? Just, it doesn't capture the same vibe at all. But thankfully, you know, it's not the end of the world. And it's still Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Still one of my favorite Mario games of all time, at least, for sure. So I can't complain that much. I really, really want a return to form for Paper Mario on Switch 2. That would be so nice. Please. Luigi's Mansion. I didn't play him. I didn't play Peach either. Or Captain Toad. Or Yoshi. I have no real desire to play any of these games, honestly. Maybe Captain Toad. That seems like it's a fun puzzle game, at least. But at this point, it's kind of past its prime. I don't know what to say about them, other than the fact that I'm glad Luigi's Mansion 3 is perceived better than Luigi's Mansion 2, but I don't think there's ever going to be a Luigi's Mansion game that people are going to be, like, over the moon for. You know what I mean? Because people didn't even like the first one when it came out. That much, anyway. It's obviously grown a cult following since then, and that's why we're getting all these sequels. I think it's nice that Luigi gets his own game, but, you know. Princess Peach Showtime, it looked good for babies. They should, you know, make a real game with Peach. Yoshi's Crafted World. I've never been that interested in the Yoshi games other than Yoshi's Island. That one was cool, but I still never even played that much of it. So, what can I say? And then Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Looks good. I don't know. Okay, the WarioWare games. I do have opinions about the WarioWare games, okay? Despite the fact that I haven't played them. Like I said, I just played the first WarioWare game. Okay, I didn't actually say this in this video, so if you're watching this video on its own, you didn't know this. But this year was the first time I played a WarioWare game. And it was the one that they put on Nintendo Switch Online. This sounds like another remix. Okay, I'm changing the playlist. It's just supposed to be Pokemon songs, dude. And I mean, they all were, but I don't want remixes. I'm not trying to steal people's remixes. Anyway, the WarioWare games. Kind of rude that they would, to me specifically, they would make 2 WarioWare games without making a Rhythm Heaven game. Come on, give me a break. Surely Rhythm Heaven is next, right? Maybe it'll be in the Switch 2 Direct. Oh man, that's just such cope. It's just never gonna happen. Honestly, just looking at the 2 of them, I mean, I'm not going to place them on the tier list because I've never played them, but Move It looks more interesting to me. I think the idea of, like, actually using the characters from WarioWare in the game is fun, but if, I don't know, it feels like it would get kind of annoying after a certain time. I don't know. Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I've never played them. Like I said, platformers not really like a huge genre for me. So what can I say? They should make a new Donkey Kong game, at least for people who like these games. I'll say that much. It's kind of crazy that we didn't get a single new one for like the Switch's entire life cycle. They just opened like Donkey Kong Land and he was in the movie, but they can't even make a new game for him. It's kind of crazy. I'm sure there's one in the works as we speak, but you know. Oh gosh, is it Zelda time already? Okay, well let's get the last few things that I have no opinions on because I've never played them out of my system. So that would be the Bayonetta series. I've just never had any interest. It kind of reminds me, well, okay, it's not the same at all, but Fire Emblem Warriors, where you just have a combo that you spam over and over and kill everything. I have no idea if that's true or not. It's just not a genre that really interests me. And Xenoblade. Now, Xenoblade almost got me back like with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 on the Wii. I think if Xenoblade Chronicles 1 had been easier to get your hands on, because Shulk was in Smash, and I thought Shulk was awesome. If Xenoblade Chronicles had been easier to get your hands on, I probably would have played it and become a Xenoblade fan or hater. But as it stands, I don't really have any opinions because I haven't really played them. Also, how can ZA be here? It's not even out yet. And I've never played a Pikmin game either. But everything else, all right. I feel like I should play the Pikmin games at some point. It's just, I don't know. They're just not that interesting to me. Get that out of the way. Now we can just focus on the real games, all right? Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, not to spoil the rest of the series on Switch, but I don't think anybody's going to argue with that. Actually, there are some people who have turned on Breath of the Wild. I guess some people didn't like it to begin with, to be fair, but, you know, that's fine. After Tears of the Kingdom, it really made me appreciate Breath of the Wild just that much more. I guess I'll just talk about Tears of the Kingdom at the same time. I think Tears of the Kingdom's like a B. The things that Breath of the Wild did well, I feel like Tears of the Kingdom tried to like up the ante on them, and instead it just made it feel a lot more unexciting, I guess is the best word I could say. Like the Sky Islands all feel very unexciting. I was never that interested to explore any of them. Because they all look the same. They all have like similar challenges and enemies. And the depths, I mean, there was a big scary statue. That was probably the moment I'll remember the most about the depths. Other than that, it's just like a dark room that you wander around in. It doesn't feel all that amazing and like awe-inspiring. As much as like Breath of the Wild 1 did when you got to like Akala and it's like, wow, this place is beautiful. Or Gerudo Town, and it's like, oh, this place is cool. And there was like unique challenges to, you know, get into all these different areas. Like, oh, you know, there's heat in the Goron area. You got to do all this stuff. There's the Gerudo won't let you in the town unless you cross-dress. It's fun, all right, to figure out all these ways to get into places. I think we were kind of hard on the Divine Beasts when we look at their attempt at dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom, where you can just kind of like jump over the whole thing at a certain point and get to the boss. Specifically, I actually don't know if you could do this to other temples once you get upgraded enough, but the the Water Temple, I feel like I didn't even play that one. I like just jumped over all the hallways with enemies and stuff to the places with the switches because I could, and flipped the switches, fought the boss, and left. It really didn't feel like I was really accomplishing that much. I don't know. Anyway, Tears of the Kingdom, obviously still a good game. Has a way better final boss, but I feel like Breath of the Wild outstrips it in almost every other way. Exploration, abilities, story. Yeah. Breath of the Wild story isn't even that good. So, what does that say, you know? Hyrule Warriors. Now, this is Definitive Edition, which I actually haven't played. But as far as I know, all it does is add new characters. Like, the actual gameplay is basically the same. I guess, other than the new characters, but you know what I mean. I did get as far as I could in Hyrule Warriors 1. This is a fun story, so I'll tell this story. Hyrule Warriors 1, I was playing with a friend. And we were, like, taking turns playing it because it had just come out, so we both wanted to play it. And we both kind of got bored. Like, after the first 2 hours. We're like, okay, well, we have to get to the end of the story. So what we did is we each took... How did that work? I don't remember how that worked. What did we play it on? Did we play it on Switch? Oh, man. I don't remember how it worked. But I remember one of us was doing movement and the other one was doing attacks. So, like, we each had half of the controls, basically. I don't remember how we did that now, because it was, like, a long time ago. So I don't think it was on Switch, but maybe it was. Anyway, this game is, like, aesthetically cool. And it's like, oh, it's kind of cool I can play as all these characters I like. But, spoiler alert for the Fire Emblem Warriors games, I don't get the appeal that much, honestly. It's another one of those games where you just bash your head against a wall, pressing the same 5 buttons over and over. And I understand some people really like them, because it's like a mindless game that you can play and just get lots of points and kill lots of enemies. There are games that I like that are like that, but it's not really what I was looking for from a Zelda game. You know what I mean? I know it's not a main series Zelda game. I wasn't going into it expecting, like, dungeon crawling necessarily, but, you know, it basically just feels like a skin, like somebody modded in a bunch of characters to, like, a regular Warriors game, Dynasty Warriors. I was really hoping Age of Calamity might fix that somewhat. You know, because it's actually tackling the story from Breath of the Wild that I thought would be very interesting. And then guess what? It doesn't tackle that story. it's an alternate universe shindig where you just, you know, play Hyrule Warriors and save the world. And I guess that makes sense. But what was even the point of setting it in this timeline if you were going to completely diverge? Like, why? All the Warriors games are going in C tier, I think. Honestly, I might put Fire Emblem Warriors in D tier. I know some people really like this one, but it's like Hyrule Warriors with even less justification, in my opinion, to, like, the story and the characters. Yeah, I don't know. And then Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, right? That's what this is called. I wasn't tricked into buying this game, all right? But I did play it with that same friend. I was kind of hoping that Fire Emblem 3 Hopes would do what I was hoping Age of Calamity would do. Surely they wouldn't make the same mistake twice, right? People didn't really like that Age of Calamity was an alternate timeline and we didn't actually get to learn the events that they promised we would learn. 3 Hopes does the exact same thing. So, I mean, they're the exact same level for me. At least we got some funny new character designs for the Fire Emblem 3 Houses characters. Why did they release a Skyward Sword remaster? I mean, I know why, because they were doing Sky Islands, so they were like, oh, this is thematic in Tears of the Kingdom. But, like, this just cemented my opinion that Skyward Sword is mid. Like, there was a lot of discussion recently about how Skyward Sword got kind of a bad rap just because it was the new Zelda game and it had motion controls, even though the motion controls are kind of fun. Yes, I don't think the motion controls are actually the problem with Skyward Sword, is what I've discovered. Because playing it with normal controls feels weird and janky, and I don't like it. So I would play with motion controls over that any day. The problem is just that the enemies and the world are incredibly lackluster, in my opinion. Skyloft is good. I think Skyloft is really cool. And the actual story with Zelda and Girahim and Demise is actually really good too. The problem is fighting the Imprisoned 3 times, and none of the bosses are very fun, and most of the temples are pretty lame, other than the Ancient Cistern. That's like the only one I actually remember. I also remember that you have to put like some water and some dragon mouths in the fire temple. That's like all I remember. And you have to deal with the Silent Realms, which are like really annoying. It's just a lot of contrivances. It feels like, and this is something I have not thought about any other Zelda game ever. Well, maybe Wind Waker's Triforce Hunt, but even that's kind of fun because there's like different ways you get the pieces of the Triforce. You don't just, find them all in different locations, and it takes a lot of money to find those locations. This game feels the most padded of any Zelda game I've ever played. I'm going to put it in C tier. I have to, because Tears of the Kingdom is way better than it. Actually, maybe I'll put Tears of the Kingdom in A tier, and it can go in... No, it's... Is there as much fun to be had here as... it's very much like Super Mario Party, where it's like, not a bad game. It's just, not exactly what I'm looking for. And the HD port didn't add much. Like, you might as well just play the original. If it wasn't kind of hard to do so, probably, from ground zero at this point. You have to find a Wii and a Wii Motion Plus and the game. So, it's not super easy, but, yeah. It sucks, because I really wanted to like this game. But no, can't do it, unfortunately. Cadence of Hyrule. This is a pretty fun game. It was kind of short. I mean, I can't really blame them. And I hope they do more of these crossover type games in the future, because there's a lot of potential there. I guess I'll put it in A tier. Link's Awakening. This one's weird to me, because I'm actually kind of a fan of Link's Awakening DX on the Game Boy. I'm a way bigger fan of it than the Oracle games or Minish Cap, honestly. That might be a little bit of a hot take. But this remake did a pretty good job of like updating it for a modern audience. But I feel like it loses some of the vibe of that game. I don't know. That game just had a specific vibe, which feels weird because the graphics are not like even really a thing in that game, Because on the Game Boy, like, yeah. But I don't know. There's like Majora's Mask has this same vibe, right? A lot of the Zelda games that don't take place in Hyrule have this weird, mysterious, sort of like otherworldly vibe to them. And I don't know if Link's Awakening Switch, does it have a subtitle? I don't think it does. I don't know if it really captures that necessarily, but it's still a good game. Echoes of Wisdom is a very interesting game. I think I just talked about this. Well, yeah, I did, because it came out this year. Or last year, you know what I mean. I just talked about this in my year-end ranking. It's a good game, and I really like its interpretation of the world, and the being a summoner sort of mechanic isn't as annoying as I thought it would be. It's actually pretty fun. My biggest problem with it is honestly that there are areas where you kind of just need to be Sword Link. I didn't really like being Sword Link. It felt weird to have that as an option because it feels like it trivializes like the rest of the game if you could just be Sword Link. So it's on a timer, but like, I would rather just not have it, honestly. And then the other thing is water blocks. This is not really a spoiler because it's like just an object you get in the game, but you can get an echo for water blocks, and then you can place water anywhere. And while most of the echoes in the game have some sort of gravity to them, like if you're placing beds and like stacking them on top of each other, you have to like stack them in a way where you can actually jump to each one. And like if you put a bed over a pit, but it's not like on one of the ledges, it'll fall down into the pit. Water defies gravity. So it's just like 100% the best tool for traversal and completely makes it not an issue for the rest of the game once you get it. And you can get it so early that it feels really like an oversight. And they do something at the end of the game where they make the water freeze because you're in an icy mountain, but it only really happens outside of the temple. So, and they also give you cloud blocks at that exact same time, which kind of act like the water anyway. It's a good game. It's just got some flaws. Okay, I've never played FE Encore. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know what this game really is. I just, I had to put it on with the Fire Emblem games, Fire Emblem Three Houses. I mean, it's to the point where a lot of people were hoping the next Fire Emblem game wouldn't have the Academy, and I was with them. I was like, yeah, okay, the Academy part isn't that interesting to me, Like, raising all your characters' levels and all this stuff through lessons feels a lot less interesting. Like, if they just did what they kind of do for the post-time skip of Three Houses, where they have you... Well, it's still the same place, but it's like a military base now, and you're like a military general. That makes more sense to me for a Fire Emblem game. But it's at the point where after Fire Emblem Engage, I kind of just hope they do the school thing again. Like, I don't know. Maybe not exactly like that, but a similar gameplay loop to Three Houses is vastly preferable to Engage for me. And it does drop some balls. I think Edelgard's story is kind of ridiculous. Like, it's like half the length and like with 30% of the budget of the other two. Well, other three, but a 4, I guess, if you count. Well, they don't have a post-time skip, the Silver Ashen Wolves or whatever, so 3. But yeah, I mean, it's probably my favorite Fire Emblem game. And that's saying a lot, honestly. Because I've played, I think, every one that's released in the West other than... well, technically I never played Conquest, because I played Birthright and then I played Revelations. So I had a really bad time with Fire Emblem Fates. I don't think if I had Conquest, I would have that much of a better time with Fates, to be fair. But I haven't played Radiant Dawn or Path of Radiance. But I've played every other game that came to the West. And it's mostly because it's impossible to get your hands on those games. Fire Emblem Engage, I mean, I've already shit on it a bit. I don't think it's like the worst game of all time or anything. It's just painfully mid. The story is like a 5-year-old's retelling of a Fire Emblem story. The bad guys did the thing, and then the good guys stopped them. And a lot of the characters are extremely uninteresting to me, including the main characters. But the gameplay's pretty good, so... I think I saw... I probably shouldn't reference this because I don't know whose video it was. But I saw a video that I didn't actually watch, just saw the thumbnail, because I'm like, I don't need to watch this. I already know that they're right. And it was like, Fire Emblem Engage, just ignore half of it. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah. It's a great game if you, ignore all its problems, which is kind of the same with this game, so that feels right. Kirby time! It's Kirby time. I didn't play this. I'd probably have a great time if I did. I probably should at some point. It's just, after Forgotten Land, I don't know if I can go back. If they'd re-released Robobot, I probably would have played it, because I'm very interested in Robobot. That was like, it's kind of funny. Kirby Superstar Ultra was like one of my first games, because I started on the Game Boy with video games. I played Pokemon Yellow, and then we got this like trove of Game Boy games from like a yard sale that were all terrible. I'm talking stuff like the Jurassic Park Game Boy port, or not Hyper Light Drifter. That's a completely different game, but it's called something very similar to that, which is like a shmup that is very unforgiving. So, I'm like 7 years old, and I hate it. But I remember Kirby Superstar Ultra being one of the first games that I played, and I'm like, now this is a video game. So I've always had a bit of an interesting relationship with Kirby because of that. I will say, though, at some point, it really seemed like Kirby was just releasing the same game over and over. And that's when I stopped playing them. And I feel like I missed out on some great games because the marketing just looked like they were releasing basically this game, or Return to Dreamland specifically, over and over. And I thought Robobot looked so stupid as like an edgy teenager that I was like, I'm not playing that. And now I kind of regret not buying it at the time because it's like impossible to play now. So, someday. Anyway, Star Allies is painfully mid. I didn't want it to be, but it's true. Because Forgotten Land is definitely top tier. Like this, if I could recommend you one Nintendo Switch game that isn't Breath of the Wild, it would probably be Forgotten Land. I think this game is like really good to a level that Kirby has never reached before. Not even like Superstar, which is my favorite one. It's kind of crazy how effortlessly Kirby was able to say, yep, I'm 3D now. Like, and I don't mean like visually 3D, like Star Allies is also visually 3D, but I mean like in 3D environments, in sort of like a 3D platformer type way. And the dodge roll feels so natural somehow. Yeah, I love this game. I really hope they keep making games exactly like this, but different and better every time. Thumbs up. All right. So I've never actually played the Prime trilogy. I probably should at some point. This is kind of a different situation from the 3D Mario games, where I've played a lot of the 3D Mario games and I know I don't like them, whereas I've just seen footage of the Prime games. I've never actually played them. And I'm just like, if I want to play a Metroid game, I'll just go play Super Metroid again. And now I've got another Metroid game that I really like, so, you know. Also, Beyond isn't out yet. What the hell? Metroid Dread. I mean, it automatically gets best of the series. I might have ranked it lower if it was worse, but no, it's amazing. It's better than Super Metroid in my opinion. I know, sacrilege, but I try to take my nostalgia goggles off a lot when I am playing these newer games because it's so easy. When I started this channel, I factored nostalgia in a lot, even though I wasn't really thinking about it, you know? And as time has gone on, I've tried to be a little bit more open to new experiences, let's say. And not just say like, oh, well, this is my favorite one, so it's the best. Obviously. And yeah, that has helped me enjoy a lot of these new games a lot more. It helps that the Switch has a lot of good games on it, I think. And it's been around for like 8 years now, so... thanks Nintendo Switch. I guess I owe that to you, my new perspective on video games. But yeah, that said, Metroid Dread is like really, really good. And I know Super Metroid is everybody's favorite. And yeah, it's still very close, a very close race in my mind. But in my opinion, Metroid Dread, just because it's got the melee countering and the slightly more forgiving save system, slightly, but not too much, in my opinion, which is nice. I have to give it the edge. And yeah, I really love it. This game fully cemented in my mind that I am a Metroid fan. It made me go back and play Metroid Fusion and Zero Mission, even though I had no interest in playing those games. I was like, yeah, Super Metroid's a landmark game, but the other ones don't interest me that much. And this game, I was like, okay, no, I have to go play them. And yeah, neither of them were as good as Dread or Super Metroid, but they're still really like great games, all of them, and I would recommend you play them. Even if you don't think Metroid seems like your jam, because I didn't think it was, but apparently I was wrong. Let's save Pokemon for last. We'll do Splatoon. I've never played them. I played Splatoon 1 briefly. I didn't like it, so I never bought the other two. I don't know. Team-based online competitive games like this, I've just never really been into them. I'm much more of a single-player or party game guy. clearly. So Splatoon has just never really interested me. I'm sure it's fun, but I don't know. It's just like a personal ethos of mine where I get really frustrated when one of two things happen. Either somebody on my team is clearly not trying, and then I'm like, well, what's even the point of playing the game if you can just get someone on your team who's not trying? Or, on the other hand, I'm clearly the lowest skill player on the team, and I feel bad, so I don't want to play it. Yeah, it's twofold. And I guess the last thing I have to talk about other than Pokemon is Smash Ultimate. I mean, again, it kind of by default gets S tier, but I would also put it up here if there was another Smash game on this console. Is it the best Smash game? Yeah. I know people love Melee, and there are big Melee heads out there, but taking it just as a game, not as like a competitive tool or as a nostalgic property, it's the best one. I mean, it's hard to argue. I think even after the next Smash game releases, people will still want to play Ultimate in Tournament. I think it's literally that good. But, I mean, we'll see. It also kind of helps that it was a massive breath of fresh air after the Wii U and 3DS games. Like, those ones felt soulless, man. And this one's definitely got some more soul to it. And it's kind of unbalanced with the DLC characters. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I would change if I could. But, I mean, that's just because there's so much stuff in this game, you know? Like, I have a lot of complaints, but if I tally my complaints against all the stuff that I have no problem with in the game, it would be like 10,000 to like maybe 100, you know? So, yeah, it's a great game. All right, Pokemon time. I've obviously never played Detective Pikachu Returns, but I wanted to say that I can't believe they'd make a Detective Pikachu game that's this bad, apparently. I mean, I've watched somebody play through basically the whole thing. RT game, you know. And I know it's kind of a rough situation because RT definitely hated this game, so maybe that rubbed off on me. If I played it myself, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. But also, it probably would be. I'm not putting it on the tier list because it's not fair, but that's my opinion at the moment. Are there any Detective Pikachu Returns, like, super fans out there who want to correct me? Probably not, right? I don't know. Pokken Tournament DX I also never played. It looks fun. I just never played it. Alright. I probably shouldn't offer my opinion on Red Rescue Team either. I have played these games. I haven't played the remakes of these games, so it's not really fair. It's not like Thousand Year Door where it's basically the exact same game except with like graphical tweaks. It feels like there was a few more tweaks to this game than that. It just doesn't really interest me that much because like I didn't want to play Red or Blue Rescue Team after playing Explorers of Sky anyway. Why wouldn't that be your first? Like, you didn't remake Paper Mario 1 first, even though Paper Mario 1 is an infinitely better game than this is. Yeah, I don't know. It's not to say this game is bad, it's just kind of baffling they wouldn't start with Explorers of Sky. Maybe it's because they're like, well, do we do Explorers of Darkness? Or no, just do Explorers of Sky, please. Anyway, main series Pokemon. Well, okay, Pokemon Snap's still here. We'll talk about new Pokemon Snap. This is fun for like 2 hours. And there was another game that I described as that. Where did I put that? Oh, I guess Cadence of Hyrule was kind of like that. So I'll put it in there. There's literally nothing wrong with this game. It's just not that exciting. I'd be up for another Pokemon Snap game. Sure, why not? Maybe they shouldn't be full price, honestly, but you know what? Whatever. I can't care at this point. It's good. I'm happy. It's a good Pokemon thing. Everybody could be like, look, Pokemon is good. Phew. Alright. The Switch era of Pokemon has been very rough for everyone involved. The players, the developers, the Pokemon Company, fans, haters. Well, I guess haters got a lot of food, but even then, I don't feel like the haters really achieved much, you know? Like, it's not like they got a statement at a Game Freak or anything. I think everybody just kind of lost in the Switch era of Pokemon. At least for a while. That said, I don't think Sword and Shield are, like, terrible F-tier games. Like, BDSP, yeah, those are going in D tier. Not only is it a game you could play on the DS, it would look better and run better on the DS, in my opinion. So, just play it on the DS, please. I'm glad that they didn't do like some sort of like traditional remake like this for Kalos alongside ZA as well, because that just seems ridiculous. I'm glad Ilka's working on Pokemon Champions. That's good. They can just stay over there. Sword and Shield are very middle of the road Pokemon games. They are the Skyward Swords of the Pokemon series, alright? And yes, Pokemon, compared to Skyward Sword, like looking at them visually, it's not a contest. Obviously, Skyward Sword looks better. However, Pokemon Sword, there's a lot about it that I really miss in Scarlet and Violet. Just like structure to the gameplay. As well as, I don't know, I like the realistic textures in Scarlet and Violet, but everything looks like plastic. And there's like, the towns are so much worse, and it's really hard. Everything that Scarlet and Violet does well, Sword and Shield does bad, in my opinion. And everything that Sword and Shield does well, Scarlet and Violet does bad. So they're really kind of like competing for the same spot here, honestly. However, I have to put Scarlet and Violet up a tier just because of Area Zero. Area Zero is like the coolest thing Pokemon's done since like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that's comparable. The Delta episode, probably. Like, yeah, it's so good. If only the rest of the game was also that quality. The gyms not scaling is absurd. And the overworld just doesn't feel worthwhile. Like, after playing Legends Arceus, I was like, I really hope this game is open zone, because I feel like that works perfectly. You have an open area, like a wild area almost from Sword and Shield. And then you have like a main base where you can have all the big NPCs in the towns with all the houses. You don't have to worry about that in like the wild areas. Alas. Also, the gym battles are such a step down from Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield's gym battles genuinely felt like big events. And they had the like anime-style Pokemon League where your rivals from the region sort of served as the Elite Four. And also Nessa was there, I guess. And then in Scarlet and Violet, it's like, no, they're just like small little events again. And the Pokemon League is like really, really lame. And the champion is so lame too. The real champion is Nemona, who's like actually cool. But Geeta is just so lame. The Pokemon designs in Scarlet and Violet, I hate them, mostly. I mean, I like a few of them. I like Knackley to Knackle Stack to Garganical. That's a pretty cool one. I like the Paradox Pokemon, but that's kind of unfair because they're basically like regional forms. Even the regional forms in this game were kind of lame. Like, if you want to count the Convergent forms as basically regional forms, because they basically are. Wiglet and Wugtrio, Toedscool and Toedscruel. Like, those are pretty lackluster regional forms. And then you've got Tauros, which is just such a disappointment. Design-wise, Sword and Shield had so many more interesting designs that I think will stick around in people's minds way longer. Grimmsnarl. Even like Wooloo. Corviknight. There's so many cool Pokemon from Sword and Shield's decks that Scarlet and Violet just can't even really stand a chance. But then at the same time, the story in Scarlet and Violet and the characters way better than Sword and Shield's. Sword and Shield's story sucks ass. And the actual like battling is, I think, way more fun in Scarlet and Violet compared to Sword and Shield, where you basically don't like do very much other than the giant gym battles. You basically don't fight anybody. And it's almost the same in Scarlet and Violet, but the wild Pokemon are given such a bigger role that it kind of fills the gap a bit better. Like, I don't know. They're almost tied in my head, but I have to give it to Scarlet and Violet just for Area Zero. Let's Go, honestly, it's not that bad. It's pretty decent. Yeah, it's kind of like baby's first Pokemon game in a lot of ways, but it's fun revisiting Kanto with overworld spawns. What can I say? And Legends Arceus. You don't know how hyped I was. Well, you do, because you could watch the stream reaction to when Legends ZA was announced, to the idea that there's another Legends game coming, because Pokemon Legends Arceus is everything I wanted from Pokemon for such a long time. It's like not too mature of a story, but like slightly more mature of a story, where there's like actual talk about danger. The characters might actually be in danger. Oh man. The last time I felt that was in Gen 7, which is another game that gets a bad rap just because it was new at the time. I will say, there were too many cutscenes. If they just had a cutscene skip button, that game's perfect, in my opinion. Anyway, Legends Arceus. I know a lot of people didn't like vibe with the Dex being the biggest thing, but as someone who really likes collecting things, completing the Dex was kind of the perfect challenge for me. Alongside, like, the new forms were all cool. The story was great. The characters, they were a little lackluster, but they were still pretty good. The Volo fight is crazy. And they actually give you the ability to catch the mythical Pokemon like Darkrai. That's crazy. And yeah, I'm really hyped for ZA because, oh yeah, graphically it's not that good, but I mean, at least it had a style to it. It made it look a little bit less cringe. I'm really hopeful for ZA. Well, I guess there's a picture of ZA up here. I'm really hopeful for ZA because Legends Arceus set such a strong foundation that if you just build on that, add some more trainer battling, some more interesting characters, like a few more modern conveniences that Scarlet and Violet introduced, it'd be like the perfect Pokemon game. I'm just really hoping they don't screw this up. I don't see how they could. Oh, by the way, this is a good chance to talk about this because I'm talking about ZA again. ZA just got an age rating of like E10, which is the highest a Pokemon's age rating has ever been. So, that gives them the range to actually talk about some more serious topics. I'm excited, okay? I don't expect them to, like, kill a character on screen, but then again, he's lived for 3,000 years. Maybe it's his time. Anyway, that's my list. Overall, the Switch generation, pretty good. It's got the most stuff in A tier, so just barely, but, not a lot of, like, straight-up bad games, but that's true for most first-party Nintendo, lineups. I would be interested to maybe do this with other Nintendo consoles, because that could be pretty fun. The problem is I really widened my breadth of games I was playing on Switch. So, like, if I went back to, like, the DS, I'd be playing, like, 5 series, and I'd play no Mario Party games and, like, no RPGs, nothing, so I'm excited for Switch 2, and I know you are as well, because you watched this video. So, if you want to see my reaction to the Switch 2 Direct, because I'll definitely be streaming it, you should like and subscribe. And leave a comment on what my worst take was of the video. Except it can't be about not playing one of these games. You can also say that, but if you want to fulfill the comment question of the day, I guess, tell me what's my worst take. If I had to guess, it'd probably be like the Warriors games or the Pokemon stuff. One of those two. So yeah, let me know. I hope you enjoyed. This was long. But hey. It's kind of a trademark at this point, right? Okay, I'll stop rambling. Bye!